Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd like to call to order our East Long Meadow School Committee meeting. It's December 15th, 2014 at 7 p.m. And just a reminder that this meeting is being both audio and videotaped. And if we can all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to move on with our roll call, starting on my left.
Elizabeth Marcian Boucher.
Gregory Thompson.
Rich Ficciaro.
Deirdre Mayu.
Gordon Smith, Superintendent of Schools.
Bill Fonseca.
Terry Olajars, Assistant Superintendent for Business. Kathy Saletti, Recording Secretary.
Jack Moynihan, Student Representative.
Okay. And we just have to amend the agenda this evening, so Mr. Fonseca, if you can do that for us, please.
Okay, I move to amend the agenda by moving items 7.1 up to before item 5 presentations, and also to add 7.3 discussion of Assistant Superintendent for Business.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And that carries forward 5-0.
Okay.
And then I think you have something special for us
Tonight
this
we
evening.
have a special presentation. We have one of our new teachers at the middle school, Erin Sosnowski. That's her new married name. And she's here with our string group from Birchland Park Middle School, and their parents are also here as well. They're in the background there. But I'll let Ms. Sosnowski introduce who is with us today from Birchland Park Middle School.
So let's start with our violins over here.
Allison Carrington,
Grace Philippi,
Joseph Gillen,
Sam Leone,
Nadia Gomes,
Abigail Brown,
Caitlin Johnston,
and on viola,
Glenna Garber,
and on cello,
Iris Park.
Awesome.
Great.
And just a couple weeks ago, we had our concerts, our winter concerts, and they were fantastic. And so we wanted to showcase some of the incredible talent that we have in the East Long Meadow Public Schools, and tonight, especially the talent we have at Birchland Park Middle School.
All right, we're going to begin with Skater's Waltz. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
You didn't know the first one?
I did.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Parents, thank you for waiting for us to open the doors.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming out here and performing for us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, that was cool. Thank you so much.
See, Frank, you're getting
Lot of
there,
talent.
you'll have versions soon.
Yeah.
It was a big influence for both of my children.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started
Thank
their
you.
love of
Thank
music.
you very much.
Bye, everyone, thank you.
We can put down stands real quick.
We can still move on.
Let me still move
And
on.
move on with our approval of minutes. So we have our December
I just
1st,
say,
2014 regular session. Meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of December 1st, 2014 regular session.
And I'll second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those.
Oh, I have discussion, sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Slade, 2.1, is that the way an abstention looks 4 to 1? Looks like, it shouldn't be 4-0-1? I'm not sure I have the notation for that. Can someone help me with that? It looks like that Bill voted no, when he voted in abstention.
It should be 4-0-1.
Okay, and it meant, it's just there twice, Ms. Slade. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So then we need a motion to amend the minutes.
So moved.
Okay, motion's made and seconded by Beth. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That carries forward 5-0. So then we just need to then make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
So moved.
Okay, motion's made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That carries forward 5-0. Perfect. Okay, so we have committee and subcommittee communications, so if we can just go around, start.
I'm going to start with senior projects last week. Got to watch the kids do that, the students, and they really did a good job. I enjoyed it quite a bit, especially because I've known some of them from when they were little and as you watch them grow up. And they're always looking for other adults from the community that would be willing to take the time out, a couple hours, once or twice a year, to listen to the students present their projects. And if anyone's interested, certainly let Mr. Macarini know. He'd be more than happy to help out with that. And that's it. I'm going to Mountain View's music. The kids have a play going tomorrow, so that'll be fun. And one more thing, eLeaf. They have given out $25,000 worth of grants to be announced, and the event's going to be in February, so information will be coming out after the winter break. And part of the reason I had to mention it is because the strings program started with them.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
Did.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg,
I'm all set
anything
this evening,
else?
thank you.
I just want to second that's comment of the senior presentation. It was a lot of fun judging that. The high school to concert was amazing.
Mhm.
You know, it was wonderful. And one of our students got honored. Mike Machapinto got the non-Dagenus Award, which is the best football player in Western Mass.
Oh,
That's wonderful. What's even more unusual, though, is that he's a junior.
Yeah.
So that's highly unusual for a junior to win that type of an award. So congratulations to Mike Machapinto on that.
and Bill Constable, do you have anything?
Yes, great job by both J.P. Kiernan and Carol Forward for the winter concert on December 4th. December 5th, of that Friday, members of the band played at the Rotary for the tree lighting. And then on the 6th, the chorus sang at Tower Square Festival of Trees. So it was quite a weekend. I did take pictures of them singing at Tower Square. I have sent them to
They're up on the webpage.
Gordon, and they are on the website, on our webpage, so.
We're updating our slideshow on the webpage, and so we have those, and we have some of the concert and the Rotary Dictionary project on the webpage.
And Students of the Month from November over at the LPVEC, Culinary, Brandon Thompson, and Landscaping Technology, Liam Jackson. Congratulations to both of them. Good.
Okay, and Jack Moynihan, do you have anything to share with us?
I'm all set besides like I said, the senior projects. We have another batch coming up on the 19th, and then besides the winter concert, that's pretty much all that's going on in high
A
school.
little good news for yourself there.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. So, it's
You
good.
attended Bowdoin?
Jackson.
Yeah, attending Bowdoin College, so I got accepted via early decision, which is It's good. I've been under one school, so I'm really happy to get in.
Cool.
So.
Congratulations on
Congratulations.
that.
I think they must have been against the polar bears, isn't it?
It's gonna be cold up there, but that's okay.
I was wondering, did you do your project yet? Or is it
No,
this week?
actually, I did mine on the 19th.
Oh, you did?
So,
Oh,
yep.
you are? Okay.
Okay.
Well, good luck.
I'll be
Enjoy.
here for that.
Thank you.
They're not that
Do you know
sweet.
which,
People that listen.
Which
Which
round?
session?
Early or later?
I think I'm early. I think I'm first block.
Okay.
I'll be here for that.
I'm not there, I'm not doing that.
So-
So, for the afternoon.
Sounds good.
I just
Yeah.
want to echo some of the same things that I helped out with senior projects, and I had a great time doing that. We had the high school concert, we also had Birchland had their concert, we saw Little Love It tonight, and then I also get to hit the third school at Meadowbrook, and they've had their series of concerts, which is, again, just adorable
It's all good.
watching.
It's
It
good
is,
time
it's a fun time of year.
Good time of
It-
year.
It all just falls one after another, so it's been a busy week
Yeah.
for the concerts.
Audience participated in the Meadowbrook concerts.
Yes, I did participate in it.
I just hummed along. I think people were very thankful that I didn't sing.
Okay, so we're done with that. We're going to move on, and this is where we had amended the agenda, so we have,
We have Andy Churchill from the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative. In your packets, you had the full agreement, and then at your places, you should have a two-pager presentation, basically summarizing some of the things that were originally in the agreement and some of the new items that are in the agreement. I think Andy's going to walk us through the agreement, but also through this two-pager.
Yep, the two pages basically the outline of what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. We have two very knowledgeable members of the collaborative's governance structure here, so I'm happy to have East Longmeadow deeply involved in the collaborative. As a former school committee member myself, I know what you go through every year, and I'm pleased to be part of this organization. I've been here since July 1st. I'm the new Ann McKenzie, who was the former director, and the organization basically exists to help member districts save money, expand capacity, and provide quality programs and services. And so it's a very practical kind of work. It's helping districts do together things that they might not be able to do separately, and there's a lot of good things going on there, and I sort of summarize some of it on the front of this page. But basically, I'm here tonight on pleased to have the opportunity to get out and meet you all. But I'm basically here on a bureaucratic technicality, which is that the state asked all educational collaboratives to redo their collaborative agreements based on new regulations that passed in 2012. And Mr. Fonseca was a member of the collaborative commission that was involved in developing that, so he can mop up anything that I get wrong here. So, but basically, in general, I'm going around to each of the school committees. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to talk about the collaborative and meet everybody. So, in terms of just letting everybody know what a collaborative is, it's authorized by statute. They basically were founded to help districts deal with special education legislation back in 1974. And they've expanded to support member districts in a variety of ways. There are now 26 collaboratives around the state, and our collaborative consists of 7 member districts: Agawam, East Longmeadow, Hampden-Wilbraham, Longmeadow, Ludlow, Southwick, Tolland, Granville, and West Springfield. So as I said, we have a variety of services. They're listed here in the bullet points. I won't read each of these to you, but just to say that we have a half-day career tech program, serves 475 students. It's unusual in that it's a half-day program, which enables students to maintain their membership in their home district, do sports, feel part of the home community, but then go and get career and technical education in a state-of-the-art facility. And it's really a beautiful place. If you haven't seen it, I welcome you to come over and check it out. We have a very passionate VOC director who'd be happy to give you a tour. And the only thing is to get him to focus and not spend half your day there. But it's a good time.
And in the bistro, it's not.
Yeah, that's true. We have a good food operation there as well. We also provide special and alternative education. We have 131 students in 14 programs there. East Longmeadow hosts at least one of our programs. And you know, many of them are in our member districts, but they serve kids with a whole variety of needs, and we have, you know, autism, behavioral, developmental delays, all sorts of programs that in an individual district you might have 1 or 2 or 3 you know, low incidence students, and then we bring them together and we can provide programs serving them at a lower cost. We also provide school transportation services. That doesn't particularly pertain to you folks, but we do provide, that's one of the services we provide for some of the other districts. We also have municipal Medicaid reimbursement, which is going in and finding money that's basically in the seat cushions that wouldn't, you know, the couch cushions that wouldn't be pulled out, except with a lot of effort by school staff. And we actually have somebody who, for some reason, likes doing that. And she finds a good deal of money for a large number of both municipalities and districts. And I believe the figure last year was $177,000 that was returned to East Longmeadow. So it's significant funds that are reimbursement for Medicaid-eligible special ed services. We also have energy group purchasing, and we have, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, it goes back to the town.
Well, yeah, okay. It goes to the, right. I remember that dispute as well, but the town will say that frees up other resources, so I'm not going to get in the middle of that. I know I'm on your side on that one, but we also have energy purchasing. We do gas and natural gas and electricity for a wide number of folks. We also have job-alike groups for superintendents, curriculum directors, special ed directors, business managers. It's an opportunity for them to compare notes and get together on, you know, identify group projects that they'd like to pursue together, and we help facilitate that. And then we have a variety of other, we're always looking for other ways to help the districts do things that they'd like to do together that they can't do alone. So, you know, the bottom line here I already mentioned: save money, expand capacity, and provide quality programs and services. So I'm here tonight basically to bring you the new collaborative agreement. There was a model agreement that the department created for districts to build off of. We took our old collaborative agreement, we plugged whatever was relevant from that into the new model. We tweaked whatever needed to be tweaked in terms of being a little more specific about how we, you know, the powers and duties of the board and how we allocate tuitions and things like that. But basically, there's nothing particularly new here. It's fairly general, and it basically says, here's who we are, here's the kinds of things we work on, here's what happens if somebody wants to leave, if we want to take on a new member, here's the role of the board. And it's really just sort of the codified rules of the road for operating the collaborative. So you have a copy of the collaborative, of the agreement there. The source for, you know, the types of things that are in it are listed here. The source in terms of the regulations is listed here as a link if you want to check that out and for some more detail. And basically the process is that we needed to go back and forth with the department until they were satisfied that we had one that passed muster. So I inherited that from my predecessor. Thank you very much, Ann McKenzie. But we've done that, and it's been approved by the department. We've taken it to our board of directors, and they've reviewed it and approved it. And now I'm taking it around to each of the school committees so that they know that this is happening, and so that they can put their signature on it as well. So that's basically who we are and why I'm here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, I know Mr. Fonseca brought this to us a couple of weeks ago, so we were more aware, well aware of, you know, you showing up tonight, and so I just open it up to if anyone else has any questions.
Just one question, Mr. Churchill. How do we add a member if someone wanted to join, if a committee wanted to join? Is that a school committee, is that 7 school committee votes to allow a member, someone else to join?
Well, it's specified in here. So procedure for admitting new members is on page 8. It's section 9. And basically they would have to submit to the board and to the executive director notifications they would like to join. And then the board considers the request, and the board has to vote. And so if the majority of the board votes to admit them, then they're in. And they can defer up until the next fiscal year, and Okay. But it's actually Section E. Admission of a new member district to the collaborative shall become effective only after approval by the current member districts and the applicant school committee or charter school board of an amendment. So I guess it's so it's a majority vote of the board and the applying school committee.
Okay.
So ours has been pretty stable for quite a while. We haven't had anybody joining or leaving, but we do also provide some services to non-member districts, and
South
that
Hadley, right?
South Hadley, East Hampton, particularly in the Voc School, they like to participate in that, and it helps defray the cost for the member districts, so we appreciate that as well.
Okay. Any other questions? So I guess we just need to make a motion to accept the LPVC agreement. Is that what? Or collaborative, well, LPVC. So if we can just have a motion for that, please.
So moved?
Okay, motion's made.
Second.
And seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That carries forward 5-0. So we accept the agreement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I already signed it for
Okay.
you, so you didn't have to wait for me.
That's great.
I would have just kept it if we
Wow,
didn't
folks,
agree.
you said. Oh.
That's efficient.
Just so he wonders why, he's getting it right away.
That's great. And I did bring a list of East Long Meadow Students of the Month from the Voc School for the last year, and some kids who've gotten awards as well. So
Okay.
distribute that, you can have that as well.
All right, now Bill's very
Thank you
good
very
at
much.
keeping us up to
He
date.
is, he's very good at keeping
Well,
us
he's
up
a
to date.
good chair. We appreciate having him
Thanks,
on
Andy.
board. So nice to meet you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to backtrack for a second and let anyone know that this would be an opportunity for visitors to address the committee. And seeing none, we can move on.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, we have 5.1.1, the ELL Corrective Action Plan.
Okay, we have Ms. Anir here, who's our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. And under that umbrella, our English language education program is coordinated out of her office. And last year, we had a number of coordinated program reviews, one of which was a coordinated program review of our English okay, tough evening, English language education program.
Level 6, pretty much they are then considered formally language,
She'll
limited
help you
English proficiency at that
because
point.
It's got the
Hold it right.
well, that's right. This gives you the levels, and at least according to Desi, the recommendation around instruction either per day or per week.
Right, so currently we have 59 students who are ELL students. Of that, we have 50 who require services, direct services. And of that, we have a number who are, their language proficiency is level 1 or 2, which means that they should be receiving 2.5 hours a day of direct ESL, which is, ESL is English as a second language, and that is where students would meet with an ESL teacher and have specific direct instruction in learning the English language. There's also, you've probably heard SEI, which is Sheltered English Immersion or Instruction. And what that is what we are having our teachers trained in now under the RETEL. And that means that we're all language teachers, regardless of the content that we teach. And so we just, through RETEL, SEI endorsed teachers are teachers who have learned some language instructional techniques and then have to employ those while they teach the content so they can help further support the students. So what we were cited in is that our ESL time is not enough. So we're not providing that additional ESL block often enough. And that's because of the numbers and the fact that they are spread across the district in 5 schools, and we have, limited staff in that area.
Mr. I don't know way to really answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay. No doubt you would.
When reading this over, I was shocked to see that in 2010 we had 8.
Yes.
I
Now
know.
we have 59.
Yes.
Any
I know.
reason how this happened all of a sudden?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of reasons,
Yeah.
actually. We were struggling to even get an ELL teacher, so I came on board in 2010. We had a part-time teacher at that point, but we had gone years without one, and so 8 was what was in the pulpit, so to speak, right? And then we hired a part-time person who primarily just got her foot around trying to do identification. That didn't come to fruition. That staff member left us. We brought on a new staff member. And so I think maybe some of it had to do with, we probably had students then as well who just weren't identified. The other component, which I think is probably a larger component, is the fact that we've had an increase in our population. A lot, just in the past 4 years that I've been here, there were a couple of years where we ended up with 12 new students in a matter of the same school year, because families tend to move in together. So I know as a state there's been a tremendous increase in ELL population, and we're following that same trend and actually kind of above that trend. So.
Just to reiterate, you said that there are 18 standards and we were only partially cited for one.
We are implementing 17 at 18 fully, and we are cited in one. When we started, we were partially or not implementing 18 at 18.
So you only had really...
Yeah, you only had nowhere to go but up.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of work with the ELL staff. Abby Steiner was our full-time ELL teacher hired, and her and I worked long hours, and then she ended up with having an additional member of her team too, who jumped right in and was able to work on this as well. I meet with ELL staff every other week, and a lot of it is around program development and really just trying to put the structures in place. So we've really proud about the work that we've done in this.
I know. They've created guides for our teachers.
Yep.
And actually those guides, then we heard Andy Churchill talk about the Java-like groups.
Right.
So we talk about some of the things that are going on in each of our districts. The collaborative districts asked Mrs. Anir for those guides, and so we shared those guides with the other collaborative districts.
Took a couple years to develop. I said, listen, this is what I want to give to teachers. We need to have a quick hitting implementation guide for them, something that they can refer to. We need to take these 3 documents that have a lot and do the research for them and get it together, to which I think both people wanted to say we're out of here, but we kind of stuck together, and they did a great job getting that together. And it has been through, I took the retail course as an administrator this year as well. Figure if the teachers have to do it, I might as well jump in the first wave as well. And even she asked for the guides and shared with other districts. So.
Very nice.
I had just a quick question. When you have a student, say for instance they come in the lower grades and they come through the whole system, and at some point they're proficient in English, do they still get counted? Does that whole thing, I'm just wondering.
So
how
you
that
do,
happens.
they get a designation called, right now it's called FLEP, which means Former Limited English Proficiency, which, yes, there's students who have now, right, and so you still monitor them for 2 years. They go through 2 years of being a formally limited English proficiency student. And then at that point, you no longer have to count them. In our 59, 9 of those are FLEPs, which is why we are providing students services to 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, and we find the younger that students come in, they move pretty rapidly through the proficiency levels. But there's always, we have such little staff that we struggle with when to limit our ESL time, because we have to spend so much time with the students who are our highest needs, so to speak, or levels 1 and 2. And in doing so, we've noticed, you go up to level 6, you can, no longer, you can write them out or FLEP them. I hate to say FLEP, but it'll take me forever to keep saying it.
Right.
And so level 5, you have a couple of criteria where you can, but because we have so many, a caseload of 25 students per teacher right now across multiple schools, is hard to get that time in. So we were starting to phase out and put students on consult who were about 4.5, 4.7, and we noticed that that wasn't good. It was too soon. So we're increasing time again.
Now, out of our 50 students that are currently on ELL, our ELL students, are they mostly at the younger grades, or is it really across the board? What's the breakdown of those 50 students?
So 27 of them are at Meadowbrook. Yep, 27 students. So that is our highest population. Maple Shade is next with about 9 students. And then Mountain View has 1. So easy for us to meet those services because we have a ESL certified reading specialist. And so that particular over time, we noticed that the proficiency level indicates that the level of service should be 30 minutes a day, which can be met through our intervention teacher there. So that's great. And then the high school and Birchland have about 6 or 7 each. But again, it's not the numbers in the school, it's how many hours.
Right.
So levels 1 and 2 require 2.5 hours daily. And then level 3 requires 1 to 2 hours a day. So where do you break off the 1 to 2?
Right.
And that's your overall language proficiency. There's also 4 components. There's speaking and listening, there's reading. So if the reading and the writing are low, then we tend to we should be cautioning on the 2 hours for those students. Right now, I can tell you that our levels 1 and 2 get about 120 minutes a week because that's what we can afford to give them, as opposed to 1 to 2 hours a day.
Right.
Or 2 hours a day, actually.
2 staff members that are spread pretty thin across the district.
And it's also multiple languages too.
Oh yeah, we have 13
Yeah.
languages in the district.
So
Yep.
it's not like you can just collaborate with a group of kids, you have to.
You can, and this is where most of last week's meeting was the debate around, so what you're telling me, Val, is if I have some level 2s across multiple grades, I can bring them together as a small group. And I said yes and no, because you have to take a look at their developmental level.
Right.
That may work at the high school level
Right.
easily,
Right.
because you could do some small group instruction, direct instruction, the students could be working on something on their own. But when you're talking about kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, that's a little more difficult. I would caution to put 3rd and 5th graders even in, because it's all based on their content. And I mean, you've seen content between 3rd grade and 5th grade is very different. So it's hard to, it's on a case-by-case basis almost.
So the second staff member in the reading the corrective action letter, our response,
Mhm.
the reading specialist we're not currently using that staff member as an ESL.
This staff member graciously accepted my nudge to be licensed as an ELL teacher and went ahead and received her ESL licensing.
But are we not using her?
We are this year.
We are. So are we meeting the criteria as a second staff member by 2015,
No.
16?
No.
We're still limited,
Right.
because they're spanned across all 5 schools.
So if I read this right, we need 1 more, right?
Well,
Yeah.
but the corrective action plan says 2 by the end of next year and 3 by the following year. Am I reading that?
Says 2 by the end of,
No, we passed.
2016, by September 2015, a second member. Increase ELL teachers from 1 to 2 by November 2014.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say
We already
that, yeah.
passed that, so we were in
Yeah.
compliance
Yeah,
with that.
I was taking credit for something we'd already done.
So we need 1 more.
And so
Because it
2 to
happened
3.
after our review, I should say
Right,
that. When they came in to review, that was not the case. So they were looking at one ESL, and they knew we had a reading
One in the
specialist,
wing, so to speak.
0.8 time. And now we've increased that to another ESL, 1 FTE.
And so then we're saying we're going to add a 3rd next school year.
We're saying there's a need for that, and if we can get through the budgetary
Maybe.
process.
Well, what the corrective action process, it's a good question, not only calls for the development of a plan, which you see on this form here, but then it also states that as you submit that plan, the chair of the school committee and the superintendent need to write a letter supporting that plan. And the plan right now, as it's written there, is to, through this budget development process, look to add another licensed full-time ELL teacher.
Because it becomes a compliance issue based on the
Right,
number of
no,
students
but-
that we
and-
need to serve.
The 3rd paragraph, in signing as chair and superintendent, you've committed to a 3rd member next fiscal year.
Right.
Full
If approved
pending-
through the budgetary
Right,
Pen- yeah,
process.
pending the
pending budgetary approval.
So we will be non-compliant if we don't follow.
We will be non-compliant, and it'll be tight to be compliant, even with the 3, but I'm hopeful. Because we've been working the numbers to see if we have these, we're just trying to work the numbers with logistics and where people are, and best case scenario with the 3rd person.
So what's our strategy in terms of our budgetary constraints, in terms of adding another FTE? Do we have one yet? We're going to work on that still?
We're working on what the needs are across the district, and what we wanted to do is have a very candid and sincere discussion with appropriations around certain regulations that are more or less dictating that additional staff be hired.
Because I think we had to get a letter in by a certain date.
Right.
So we had to have something in writing about a corrective action plan and the hiring. So we said, we had to write a letter because we can't guarantee the hiring of a 3rd person unless
the appropriation is such that we can sustain it.
understands.
But we could also, I'm sorry. Well, no, we could also see, I'll be devil's advocate, we could see a spike from, let's say, June to September, which would throw the whole thing out of whack.
Right.
True.
We're going to be it's going to be tight anyway,
Because you
but
based on what
we're
you
showing
said.
good faith effort that we're making strides towards that. I collaborated with other districts, our LPVC districts, and we typically get on a mass email and ask questions of each other. So I asked what people had done with their ELL review, and 9 out of 10 times they responded back, we hired enough staff to be compliant. The one response that I got that did not say that was we purchased and implemented a program, but we're still out of compliant. Forget it, yeah.
When we still had the ERA grants, we knew that we were going to be found out of compliance when this coordinated program was, whenever it would take place. Back in those days, we weren't sure when it was going to take place, but we knew. So we had advertised first through the ERA grants for a 0.5, and we were able to sustain that, but as Mrs. Lanier said in her presentation, that individual got us to the point where we did a much better job diagnosing and identifying, and then I believe left the district for another job in January.
After 5 months, not even 5 months. So we had much more applicants when we were putting out for a full-time.
Now, the other thing is, if majority of our students are at the lower level, now, would there be a chance that if we hired like a 3rd person, a few years from now, we have more, we now have less students in like they move on?
That would be wonderful, but we haven't seen that. Right. You're going to see that bubble kind of move. But so if we had a 3rd staff member, the best, and if that, there's a lot of ifs, but optimistically, that'll cover our need. And how I see that working out is that we would have a full-time staff member at Meadowbrook for K-2. We would share a staff member from grades 3 to 5. That staff member would also pick up some of the slack over at Meadowbrook because it does have the 27 across 3 grades. There's just no way. And then there would be a shared staff member for Birchland Park and the high school. And I've already been in communication with kind of working out whether we get a 3rd staff member or not, managing what the block of time looks like. So I've met with the high school, I've had conversations with the middle school, but I have a picture on my phone, Frank Page and I worked out where this ESL block would take place because we need it to be manageable for whatever staff member is able to do that. And then I've spoken with the other 2 schools who require an ESL block. Mountain View doesn't require that because I explained why they're already covered. And we're finding location for that staff member and being able to.
Question, where do you make the room for?
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Often it's really a district-wide position, so you could have a home base here, but we also try to, if we can, have a home base at a school.
Yeah, so we've identified locations for them. It's so funny. The teachers, I think, would agree. We care less about where they work. They can work anywhere, but it's when they're pulling students for instruction. So we identified instructional areas for them.
One of the things we found as we've advertised for these positions is that they often have more than one license. So they may have the ESL license, but they may also have, in one case, a reading specialist license, or they may have a regular English license or a special education license. And so that's helpful too. So I mean, if we were all of a sudden to get ahead of the curve,
Right.
you now have a staff member who can do some other things as well.
Are we now down a reading specialist then because we moved over to ESL?
No.
No, we replaced.
We actually restructured.
We restructured
intervention.
it, some of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when Dr. Allen came in, we started to restructure
Okay.
how we do interventions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, you do need to vote to accept the corrective action plan.
I move that we accept the corrective action for the English language education program.
Okay, motion's been made. And second, any further discussion? And hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, and that carries forward 5-0. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the
Thanks,
information.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Have a good night.
You too.
Long Meadow, East Long Meadow basketball, if you want to go check the score. At the high school.
My children at Dunkin' Donuts doing their
I
reading.
know they're
Oh.
still there, I'm sorry.
And they were thrilled. They were sitting at their own table.
Oh, okay, that's good. Miss Junior might be tutoring some this evening.
Okay, so we can move on. We have 5.1.2, the overview of Western Mass Coalition of Education Leaders.
Okay, this is another possible acronym down the road, but right now we'll just call it the Western Mass Coalition of Educational Leaders. This is a group that was brought together first in July, July 10th to be specific, and the chair of the Hamden-Wilbraham Regional School District and the superintendent, excuse me, Mark Ducey, the chair, and Marty O'Shea, the superintendent, pulled together a group at that time that they called the Super Regional School District Group. Not that great an acronym either. So, however, the goal was, at least in the summer, was one, to see how many Western Mass communities can we bring together with chair and superintendent to discuss some of the key issues that's going on in education today, specifically in Massachusetts. And so it was a good meeting. Deirdre and I went in July, and it was more of a getting to know each other and get an idea of where each district was with these many different mandates. The second meeting took place on December 3rd, and we changed our name to the Western Mass Coalition of Educational Leaders. So that was one thing we did on the agenda. Deirdre could not attend, so Rich went in her stead. And we narrowed down, and hopefully this group's going to be able to put together a position statement specifically around 3 points. One, the speed and the amount of unfunded mandates that have been coming out of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So just a statement around that and how challenging it is for school districts across Massachusetts to keep up with that. And then really taking two very specific mandates, if you will. One, the Common Core standards, which standards alone, no one in the group has any problem really with standards. Massachusetts actually does standards quite well. It's doing the work to, which you've heard many presentations on around the East Long Meadow work, to make sure that we're very thoroughly aligned with those standards. That's the work that has to be done, and that's the work that was put on a sort of an expedited clock, if you will, the last few years. And then the park assessment, not so much because of an assessment, but again, it's the speed. While districts are still trying to make sure that they're completely aligned to the new state standards, you're having your accountability assessment count, and you know, the press loves this stuff as to sharing out the results and so forth, before the districts have been able to completely align to the Common Core state standards. And so a very rough draft was put together. Mr. O'Shea was able to show us his typing skills on one of the whiteboards, interactive. I don't think it was a Mimeo, could have been a smart board. And so he was taking different revisions and statements to try to capture thoughts around that. But we're going to put together hopefully a very succinct letter around those 3 points, and then the school committees that are represented there will in January get a chance to endorse that if they feel that that's something they would like to do. And then we'd also like to expand that. These school committees may not be able to endorse it with a vote, as most of the member districts that were there will be able to do in January, but we'd like to expand to make sure we're representing as much of Western Mass as possible. We had mostly suburban districts, so we'd like to make sure that we give an invitation to Springfield, to Chicopee, to Holyoke. There was even talk of reaching out to Pittsfield, and just seeing how many people would be willing to sign on to this position statement. So that's where we had gotten to on December 3rd, and stay tuned. We will have another meeting in January, and soon hopefully a position paper that can be on our agenda and multiple agendas of this group.
Okay. Sounds like a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I was, what started as a very small group, the LPDEC districts, after a long discussion, expanded to all of Western Mass. So that's how the term came up, Western Mass Coalition. So I think it's a good idea to kind of expand, and we're targeting obviously certain legislatures in the DESC.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. I think there's power in numbers.
Yeah,
And I think they need to understand that we don't feel heard, and we're really not.
Right.
But that we want to do what's best for the kids. We're not saying we've got a problem teaching them good stuff.
Right.
But it's the order in which it's being done.
Right.
I think it was very interesting at the last meeting because it was a large group,
Right.
but and it may get larger if we invite these other districts in. So consensus was on how each district felt about park or Common Core. We weren't necessarily going to be able to do that.
Right.
What we agreed on was that we all understand standards, and we feel standards are something that should be part of education, and we understand the work of aligning to those standards. However, what we're saying as professionals is you need to give districts time to
Right.
do that.
Right. Yeah, the first meeting I went to, it was just very interesting to hear the frustration that all these different districts had, and finally to be able to say, yes, we feel that same way too, and let's try to do something, like you said, in numbers.
Right.
You can probably get more done, and so, do they have plans for another meeting?
They do.
January 25th, I think,
January 25th?
something like that, I'm guessing. But
Okay,
And,
yeah, keep me posted.
Mr. O'Shea was supposed to get a draft out to at least the group that was there that evening.
Because I remember
it's on
that first,
Number one on his to-do list.
I remember that first meeting, they were going to do some sort of survey. Remember, they were
Right.
going to send
Right.
out the survey.
They sent out a very brief survey just to get a handle on where people felt about certain key unfunded mandates. You know, things like alignment to the Common Core, things such as the park assessment, educator evaluation, English language education, that are all good things. However, with the speed, then those are just to name a few, that they're coming out and that people have to adjust is pretty incredible.
Right.
That's one of the major challenges I think any district leadership team has, is how do you balance that so that you're not consistently overwhelming staff.
Exactly.
Well, it makes sense to invite outside members because I think, to go along with the conversation, strength in numbers, everybody's concerns are the same. It
Right.
doesn't matter the size of the district.
Right.
Right.
It's the speed at which these mandates are coming out,
Right.
and that's a key component.
Right.
All right, so I'll look forward to that next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scratch that one off, and moving down to 7.2, high school music department field trip.
Okay, so in your packet you have a field trip request from the high school, specifically from the high school music department for the chorus, to attend a choral festival. And this is for March 15th. You have a cover letter from Dr. Flanagan. And then you have the request from Carol Forward, who is our choral director. And they would be heading, you have an overview of the program further into the packet. And so it's the Hart High School Choral Festival, Monday, March 16th.
I move that we approve the high school trip to the music department field trip to the Hart High School Choral Festival at the University of Hartford on Monday, March 16th, 2015.
Okay, motion's been made
I'll second.
and seconded. Any further discussion?
Now, confused, is it the 15th
Yeah.
or is it the 16th?
I think it's the 16th because,
The agenda's wrong. It says-
yeah.
Okay.
All the
Yeah.
forms,
All right.
16th.
Okay, so, good.
Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That carries forward 5-0. Okay, we had added
We'll alert the
choral
choral
7.3.
group.
We had amended the agenda. We added a 7.3, a discussion of the position of the Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Okay. So,
Go ahead.
sad note, just,
Right.
we know
Yeah. Explain
that
something.
Mrs. Olajars is retiring, and that's going to be a huge loss to the district. And it's sad to have to think about this, but we do have to prepare for that moment, which means that we do have to put together a search. And that search process certainly can be coordinated and facilitated by me. However, the business manager position and/or assistant superintendent for business is a school committee hire in the end.
Well, I move that we hire under the title of Assistant Superintendent for Business.
And create a
And
search
sub-
committee.
We
Right.
create a search committee chaired by the superintendent of schools.
Exactly.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That carries forward 5-0. Okay, so it brings us down at the end. We just want to thank Jack Moynihan.
Always.
Thank you, guys.
And again, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Don, thank you very much this evening. Okay, with that, we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
And seconded. Any further discussion?
Happy holidays.
Oh, my
Happy
goodness,
holidays.
thank
Right.
you. Happy holidays. Okay, and all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Carries forward 5-0. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
Yes.
You're always good at remembering that.